Mangwana Nimalelepo Vukenjani Kwas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, your portal into Africa's potent stories. Today, we begin in Tanzania, where protests following the general election have triggered a curfew in Dar es Salaam. In Burkina Faso, the ruling junta dissolves the National Electoral Commission, while Cameroon's opposition faces trial after violent post-election unrest. We turn to Sudan's Darfur amid fresh reports of atrocities, Nigeria's crackdown on wildlife trafficking, and Zimbabwe's power outage during President Mnangagwa's address. Economic and sports updates follow from Namibia and Zambia. Watch AGM on DStv 285, GOtv 25, ntvafrika.my.na, and NTV Afrika on YouTube. That's Africa with a K. My name is Ashwin Berry. This is Africa Good Morning. Top stories shortly.
Life is unpredictable, and one needs to be protected against any eventuality. Get Santam legal access from as little as 50 Namibian dollars a month for when you find yourself in need of legal representation due to civil cases, criminal prosecution, and family matters such as divorce, child maintenance, and custody. It also covers labor disputes, disciplinary hearings, and unfair dismissal or retrenchment. With Santam Legal Access, you'll receive free legal advice on almost every legal aspect, whether the specific matter is covered by your policy or not. For true peace of mind and legal protection when you need it most, call us on 061 292 8000. Santam. This is freedom.
Let's get into the top stories on Africa Good Morning, 30 October. Tanzanian police enforced a curfew in Dar es Salaam after violent protests broke out during an election expected to secure President Samia Suluhu Hassan's victory following the disqualification of two major opposition candidates. Internet service disruptions were reported as videos surfaced showing protesters clashing with security forces and setting property ablaze. Demonstrations spread across several neighborhoods, with opposition supporters chanting in Arusha and expressing anger over alleged abductions of government critics. Authorities declined to comment, while the government insisted the election was fair. Polling stations closed at 4 p.m. with results expected within 3 days. Hassan urged citizens to vote and reiterated her development record. Voters also selected parliamentary representatives and leaders in Zanzibar. Hassan's CCM party, in power since 1977, faced accusations of repression despite her previous efforts to ease political restrictions. The president had earlier ordered investigations into alleged abductions, though findings remain unpublished. The U.S. Embassy advised personnel to remain indoors as protests continued amid the evening curfew. Burkina Faso's Transitional Legislative Assembly approved the dissolution of the country's Independent National Electoral Commission, a body that had operated for over 2 decades. The move formalizes a bill introduced by the ruling junta led by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, which described the commission as inefficient and influenced by foreign interests. The Ministry of Territorial Administration will now oversee election organizing. Following the military takeover in September 2022, the junta pledged to restore civilian governance within 21 months, but extended the transition by 5 years in May last year, also allowing Traoré to contest upcoming elections. Since assuming power, the leadership has reduced cooperation with Western nations, particularly France, and strengthened ties with Russia. The change marks another step in restructuring political institutions under the military-led government. In our next story, Cameroon's Interior Minister Paul Atanga announced that opposition leader Issa Chiroma Bakary will face legal action for allegedly inciting violent demonstrations following the October 12 election, in which 92-year-old President Paul Biya secured an 8th term. At least 4 protesters were killed during clashes with security forces as unrest spread across the country. Chiroma Bakary claimed victory, but Biya's ruling CPDM dismissed this assertion. International organizations organizations, including the UN, AU, and EU, have urged restraint amid the violence. The minister accused Bakari and his associates of organizing illegal protests that led to casualties. Several security personnel were injured, and investigations into incidents have been launched. Despite government assurances that the situation is under control, demonstrations continue in cities like Douala and Garoua, where roadblocks and tire burnings persist. We're going to take a quick break before we continue with more top stories on Africa Good Morning. This time, we're going to be talking about Sudan.
Have you ever wondered why grandma keeps her money under the mattress? And why is Angela uninsured? The Namibia Financial Inclusion Survey 2025 will help us find all the answers. From 6 October till the 4th of November 2025, the Namibia Statistics Agency teams in uniforms with tablets will visit homes across all 14 regions to learn about financial access, informal banking and saving habits. Email us at info@nsa.org.na or at 061 431 3200.
International concern is mounting over reports of atrocities in Al-Fashir, capital of Sudan's Darfur region, following its capture by the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, after an 18-month siege. Local organizations reported detentions of over 1,000 civilians and numerous killings, with videos showing people fleeing amid the violence. Around 25,000 have escaped to Tawila, already housing 650,000 displaced individuals. UNHCR official Jacqueline Vilma Parvaliet cited accounts of ethnically motivated killings, including executions of those unable to flee. The UN confirmed reports of mass abuses, including sexual violence. Sudan's army said it withdrew to protect civilians, denouncing systemic killings by RSF forces. The EU, Arab nations, and humanitarian groups condemned the atrocities. The war, ongoing since 2023, has killed at least 40,000 people, displaced over 14 million, and deepened famine. Both the RSF and the army are under ICC investigation for alleged war crimes, as Al-Fashir's fall raises fears of further national fragmentation. Nigeria's Senate has passed a new Endangered Species Conservation and Protection Bill, imposing fines of up to 12 million naira and prison sentences of up to 10 years for wildlife traffickers. The legislation, updating outdated laws, targets the illegal trade of ivory, pangolin scales, and other endangered species. It grants customs officers expanded investigative powers and enables asset seizures and extraditions. The bill also bans pollution of habitats and consumption of endangered animals. Lawmaker Tessie Ogbo, who sponsored the bill, said it demonstrates Nigeria's commitment to ending wildlife trafficking. Conservationists welcomed the move, noting Nigeria's history as a major transit hub for illegal wildlife exports. Environmental groups called for swift presidential approval ahead of the upcoming UN Wildlife Trade Summit in Uzbekistan, highlighting the law's role in aligning Nigeria with global conservation standards. During President Emerson Mnangagwa's State of the Nation address on 28 October, Zimbabwe's parliament was plunged into darkness after a sudden power outage disrupted proceedings, forcing the president to finish the speech under torchlight. The blackout, which lasted several minutes, sparked public embarrassment and swift accountability measures, and this is within the Zimbabwe Electricity Supply Authority, ZESA. In response, ZESA suspended Ebo Gurupira, acting managing director of its subsidiary, the Zimbabwe Electricity Transmission and Distribution Company, on full pay pending investigations. The suspension followed reports that the outage occurred despite backup systems being in place, raising questions about negligence and preparedness. Parliament later clarified that the incident was caused by a tripped circuit breaker while the building operated on a hired generator, not a direct failure of ZESA's main supply. Nonetheless, the timing and visibility of the disruption during a live national address by the president have intensified scrutiny of Zimbabwe's power infrastructure and management, prompting a broader internal review of electricity reliability and crisis response within the state utility and government facilities. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. We're going to have a look at the weather, and when we come back, it's time for economic news.
Life is unpredictable and one needs to be protected against any eventuality. Get Santam legal access from as little as 50 Namibian dollars a month for when you find yourself in need of legal representation due to civil cases, criminal prosecution, and family matters such as divorce, child maintenance, and custody. It also covers labor disputes, disciplinary hearings, and unfair dismissal or retrenchment. With Santam Legal Access, you'll receive free legal advice on almost every legal aspect, whether the specific matter is covered by your policy or not. For true peace of mind and legal protection when you need it most, call us on 061 292 8000. Santam. This is freedom.
In economic news, Chinese Ambassador Zhao Weiping affirmed China's commitment to supporting Namibia's industrialization, modernization, and value addition objectives. Speaking at a press conference, Zhao said the Chinese government encourages its enterprises to respond to Namibia's call for local benefication and economic advancement. He emphasized that more Chinese companies are expected to adopt this approach in future engagements. Zhao's remarks underline China's ongoing cooperation with Namibia in fostering sustainable development and expanding economic partnerships. Nikanor Nangolo attended the press conference.
Government. I want to emphasize, we fully understand your aspiration for your industrialization and modernization, and of course value addition, that's very important for your economy. So the Chinese government supports our enterprises to also pay special attention to your voices in this, in local beneficiation and also value addition. We fully support that. So I think as time goes by, you may see more Chinese companies will act in that direction. So that's the first point I want to mention.
All right, that's been our economic news story. Let's have a look at the indicators before we swing back with the sport.
Mornings just got better, Namibia. From the latest headlines to the hottest trends, we're bringing you the conversations that matter.
That's right. Bright minds, bold opinions, and a touch of morning magic. This is your daily dose of energy.
So grab a cup and join in on the conversation every weekday morning at 8 o'clock with Smell the Coffee, hosted by Diana Master and Aina Riza Quayo.
So, getting into sports news, heads have been rolling. Just earlier in the week, Zimbabwe dismissed its coach, Michael Nice, after they were disappointed with his results, and now Avram Grant has been fired from Zambia. The Football Association of Zambia has mutually parted ways with coach Avram Grant, ending his tenure with the national side ahead of the upcoming 2025 Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. The separation, confirmed in a statement from FAZ General Secretary Machacha Shepande, comes amid mounting pressure over poor results in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying campaign, where Zambia recorded only 2 on-pitch victories before a boardroom decision awarded another. Notably, the decision follows a government directive 3 weeks earlier to suspend funding for the senior men's team until FAZ provided a roadmap addressing performance concerns. The government, via the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Arts, cited accountability for public investment and demanded justification for continued support. Grant, who began his 2-year contract in December 2022 and guided Zambia back into the Africa Cup of Nations after years of absence, said he leaves the team in a stronger state than he found it. The move reflects intensified scrutiny of national football governance and the role of public funding in shaping sporting success. So, Zambia and Zimbabwe have both let go of their Africa Cup of Nations qualifying coaches. We do wonder if heads will roll in other countries. We certainly hope that's not the case in Namibia, but the guys are knocking. That's been our sports on Africa Good Morning. We're going to take a quick break. In a world where politicians promise the moon and deliver potholes, where democracy sometimes arrives in camouflage and ballots often look like formalities, one show dares to laugh with Africa, at Africa, and sometimes for Africa. This is Second Take, your weekly dose of political satire with an African soul and a global edge. From coups disguised as press briefings to ministers moonwalking past accountability, we serve the real news with sharper writing. Each week we bring you the TikTok of the week, because sometimes the revolution is vertical, and the heartwarming moment of the week to remind us that not everything is burning. We also sit down with the bold, the brilliant, and the brave, voices that question power, stir thought, and spark laughter. Because when the headlines are wild, the leaders are louder, and the truth is lost in translation, we all need a second take. Do make sure you check out Second Take this week on Sunday at 9 p.m. I will be focused on Tanzania and Cameroon's just recently held elections, which both gave birth to significant protests. Now we swing back to a clip which we've been showing throughout the week. We've been showing you parts of it. This is from the UN at 80 celebrations, titled 80 Voices for 80 Years, a performance by a deaf comedian called Sabino, alongside with his voice interpreter Kahuhwena Chicken, as they give a hilarious take on inclusivity.
How many languages do you know of where you can shout without making noise? Hi, my name is Sabino, and I am a deaf comedian, and proudly recognized as one of Africa's first deaf comedians. Through music, comedy, and sign language. I bring culture and joy. Deaf people are highly skilled, intelligent, and capable contributors to society. For example, there are many deaf drivers like myself who provide excellent taxi and airport shuttle services. It's the most silent taxi ride you will ever take. Deaf people are the only people who naturally mind their business. We just can't hear it. Being deaf is not easy. One day I had a run-in with city police and Nampo. It was so confusing. Blue and red lights everywhere. I tried to sign. They couldn't understand. They thought I was a rapper, which I am, but that's not the point. When a city police officer issued me a ticket, I tried to ask for clarification using sign language. The officer couldn't understand that I am deaf and continued to speak. All I saw was moving lips and an angry face. My brother, you can't keep driving this car. Can't you hear your brake pads? This car is done. This guy needs a ticket. I'm going to have to give him. What is he saying? They summoned me for a hearing. I didn't bother to show up. What's the point? Many hearing people don't know sign language. So deaf people are often excluded from education, jobs, and even healthcare. It's harder without interpreters or proper support. And that's why creating awareness through deaf comedy and Free Your Mind is so important. My friend here, which is me, is my voice interpreter. He's here to help you hearing folks. But sometimes working with him is no different than working with the blind. It's always a challenge. Can you imagine me and a blind person communicating? We often need an interpreter. But it's no different than communicating with the hearing. To us, you are disabled. If you want to understand deaf experiences, it's worth learning at least a little sign language, so you can understand how the language truly works. But I'll teach you some words. Hello, do it with us. Hello. Hello. How are you? How are you? I am fine. I am fine. Thank you. Thank you. I love you all. I love you all. I'm going to be the first Namibian to start a deaf club. No cell phones, texting, video calls, or social media. I'm going to call it deaf therapy.
Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning throughout the broadcast on ntvafrika.my.na, DStv 285, GOtv 25, and NTV Afrika on YouTube. That's Africa with a K. Thank you very much. And make sure that you check us out as well on Echo, which is on the oneup2.com platform. We return tomorrow to close off the week. We'll certainly be keeping an eye on developments in Tanzania, in Cameroon, where there is currently significant unrest. Stay with Africa Good Morning. We're going to be with you. Cheers.